Okay. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Between Two Bookshelves from William James Memorial Library. My name is Megan Lawn, and today we are interviewing the beautiful and brilliant and intensely inspirational Miss Yulan Mimm San. Everybody, we're so happy that you're here. Yulan uh, is a oh my gosh, she's my spirit animal, is what she is. She is coming here today to talk to us about her amazing blog, um, which she posts on every day. It's called Just Three Lines. You can find it at threelinesmororless.blogspot.com. And I highly recommend that you go and check it out. So, without further, I don't know, intro. Yulan, thank you so much for being here. I met you through Any Old Book Club.
That's right.
Yeah. So
last year, I think.
Yeah, we have a book club here that is for disorganized or antisocial people that don't like to be told what to read. And it is called Any Old Book Club. You can log in once a month and just discuss any old book that you're reading. And that is where I met Mim. And the first thing that caught my attention about her was the incredible array of genres that you get into. I mean, but then beyond that, how connected you are to the actual physical object. So the first real conversations we had was about how your favorite author had a new series out, but it wasn't in paperback yet. So
That's
it wasn't
right.
cozy enough for you.
It wasn't cozy enough for me, so I had to find older books that she had that were in paperback form so I could be cozy with them. There's something about a paperback book. It's friendly. You know, you can hold it in your hand and it's very easy, especially if you're lying down in bed. But this is not a paperback book. And it's bulky and it's heavy and so I stick with paperback books. And it was, what's her name? Robin Carr.
Mm-hmm. The Virgin River books.
The Virgin River books. And I was watching the TV series. And I decided and they're based on novels that she wrote. So I looked up the novels. I like to go deep into things. I looked up the novels and I found that there were 20 novels. I read every one of them. And then I went on to another one of her series, Thunder Point. So Virgin River speaks from the basis of a woman. They're stories about relationship, but they're more from written with a slant of a woman's viewpoint and how she approaches relationship. Thunder Point switches to the male viewpoint. And what I found was interesting was that she was very convincing in speaking from the perspective of a man in a relationship. And I think there were about six of those. And then I went on to Sullivan's Crossing. That's another series of people in relationship. Most of them are out on the West Coast. I think she lives in Las Vegas. And so I'm not sure what I'll read next after I finish the Sullivan's Crossing series, but I'll find something.
We will help you find something.
Thank you. I know
At
you
Any
will.
Old Book Club.
I know you will. Any Old Book Club, right?
So, I feel like that was a bit of a digression, but it just really, what you just said really encapsulated kind of the thing that I was hoping you'd come in and talk with us about. Not only did you talk about like the physicality of the book and when and how it's comfortable for you and how it strikes you, and that's a very present thing. That's not something people think about all that often. But you also just very rapidly went through an author and pointed out the different viewpoints. And that, I feel like, really is very telling about you. You are probably the most present person I've ever met in my life. And you have this ability to really internalize very rapidly different viewpoints. You always seem to find things that are beautiful in the world around you, and that's really reflected in your writing, in your
In my
which
blog.
is
Yeah.
which is we have some samplings around the tables, the windows here. For our audience here, for those at home, go to the blog. It is amazing. So talk to me about this experience you've had. You're over 900 days now.
Nearly 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's nearly 1,000 days. I have posted every day since COVID, somewhere during COVID. And there have been days when I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to write about. I just didn't know. I didn't know. And I just waited until something came to me, an inspiration. And what I use for my inspirations is my phone and the photographs that I've taken as I go about my days. I'm drawn to, if I'm drawn to something, I take a picture of it, and I don't think about it at the time. And then I'll take another picture, and I don't think about it. And sometimes I'll take 6 pictures in a row of the same thing, not focusing on anything, but just snap, 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 snap. And then later on, I will look at the pictures, and I'll see something there, and I'll just sit with it. And it will trigger a memory, or a thought, or another image, or something funny, something I've heard, or something I dream about, something I would really like to do and have never done. And so from there, I'll start to think and formulate some words. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll write down a few sentences and then pick out thoughts from those sentences. And then from there, I'll come up with a haiku. A haiku is a very short poem, and then I will fit it into the format. That's how I started. And then after I had done that for a while, I wanted to say more. So after I had focused on the photo and come up with a haiku, then I wanted to say something more about that.
This brings us to the 3 different.
So this brings us to the 3 different formats for a haiku.
This is very interesting. I am a lit major, and I had never heard this. I didn't know this.
So most people, at least in the West, know a haiku. They say 3 lines, 5, 7, 5, 17 syllables, or 17. What's the word I'm looking for? There's another.
Beats, breaths.
Something like that, beats, breaths, but 17. And so that's the haiku. And then if you pair that with a photograph, that becomes a haiga. There's a photograph, and sometimes the photograph comes first, or it could be a painting. It's an image of something.
Like this guy right here is one of yours, right?
Yeah. So, okay, we'll get back to that. So here's the this is one of my paintings. I'm a painter, I'm a photographer, I'm a paper folder, and a haiku poet. But this is a koala bear and baby. I was inspired to do something to honor the koala bears who were dying in the fires in Australia. So I went online and I looked and looked and looked until I found this particular image really touched me, and I painted it. It's an acrylic, and just recently, I was going through my old photographs, and I saw this, and it reminded me of something that I was thinking about my mother. The thought of my mother came into my mind, and so I'm looking at this, and then I wrote this haiku.
This one touched me very much.
When I was little, Mommy made me tea and toast and fluffed my pillow. I remember when I was a little girl and I was sick and home from school, my mother would make me tea and toast, and she would fluff my feather pillow for me. And I thought it was very fitting for this photograph of the koala bear, the little baby and its mommy. So sometimes that's how I approach, and I forget what I wrote with this, but there was a commentary. So when you have a haiku with a commentary, it can be it's commentary. It can be a description of something, and then at the end of that description, it might be an event, it might be something you see, it might be a memory, but it's a description of something, and then at the end of that there is a haiku, just to highlight, just to put in succinct words what that recollection brought to mind. And sometimes it's exactly in those words, and sometimes it's a little bit off. But when you have the haiku and the narrative, that is a haibun. And what I chose, what I continue to choose in my blog, is the photograph, the narrative, and the haiku. And so for me, it is a complete, more than my blog posts are like souvenirs. They're souvenirs of moments in time where I am reflecting on something, and where I can go to visit whenever I want. It's just, I love what I do. It's part of who I am and how I see the world. And even with something sad like this, what I try to do is bring some beauty into it. Because even sadness has beauty, even anger has beauty, because it's feeling. And when we feel things, we get in touch with our humanity. And our humanity is who we are and how we live in this world. And to find something beautiful in that, because we're only human. We're not perfect, we hurt, we get angry, we want to scream, we're just whatever. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful because people are beautiful. I remember not too long ago thinking to myself, before I die, I hope that I can see the beauty in everything. It's just a way of approaching things so that whatever shows up, I can be okay with it in some way and accept it and honor it because it's part of life.
Now, we've talked a bit about how this daily practice, your blog, has encouraged you to see the world that way. Mm-hmm. But you did not start out as an artist, yoga instructor, etc. You started out working your tail off in the corporate world, going 9 to 5.
I did that for 25 years. And I had to leave. I was burned out. I didn't know what I was going to do. I went to my boss and I said, if I quit, will you allow me to collect unemployment? Will you approve my application for unemployment? So my boss went to his boss, and his boss said yes. So I quit. I left a job 25 years ago. I was in line for a 6-figure income, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
Well, this is on a high school degree, yeah?
On a high school degree.
You are remarkable.
And I just couldn't do it anymore, so I lived on unemployment. I owned a house at the time. I had a mortgage. I had enough money from unemployment to pay my mortgage, and I went from one thing to another. I stumbled my way into a whole string of part-time jobs, from one to the next. At times I had more than one. And I never missed a meal, and I experienced a lot, I explored a lot, and I had a great time had fun. I had some interesting times. I decided for some reason I wanted to work in gardens. So I got some work in the neighborhood working in gardens, and one of the early ones was, it was summer, and I had short shorts on, boots, short shorts, and a halter top because it was hot. Well, at the end of the day, no, 2 days later, I discovered that I had bathed myself in poison ivy because I didn't know what it looked like. So I learned real fast what poison ivy looked like. I had to go to a dermatologist and take medicine and so it was. I just stumbled into that. What else did I do? I worked part-time for a realtor doing marketing
There
work.
was good and bad there then.
There was good
You
and bad.
decided to explore different areas,
I did.
and some of them ended up being terrible and some of them ended up being great.
Yeah, but in hindsight, it was great fun.
Mhm.
And it was wonderful experience. I learned a lot of different things all along the way, and from time to time I call on that in my writing, because I remember, oh, that's right, I did this, or that happened, or whatever. Even though I didn't know what I was doing different things and learning all the way. And life is about experience. We're here to experience life. And for some people, what works is doing the same thing their entire lives, advancing, progressing, climbing the ladder. For other people like me, that wasn't it. I could have done that, but it wasn't me. And so for me, it's like variety, diversity. Let's try this. Let's look in this, that, and so that's what like rocks my boat. I love that. Like, what's next? Oh, what can I go explore? And I bring all of that into my work now. This is my blog is my work. It's not easy. I spend a lot of time in just 3 little lines and a narrative and photograph, but I wouldn't want to do anything else. I really wouldn't want it. It just.
In this daily practice, this came about because you felt like you wanted to write.
I felt like I wanted to be a writer. There's just something about writing. And every time I would sit down to write something, I would start out just great, and then I would hit a wall, and I would be like stepping all over my tongue. So I set it aside, and then years later I would pick it up again and let me try it now. And it just never worked. I couldn't do it. I couldn't stay focused long enough on something. I think my self-consciousness just got in my way. But what I find with this is I'm finally learning to write, and it doesn't have to be a book. It can be something short. It can be something interesting, and it also gives me a great variety. Because my blogs, I post on anything and everything. Some of them are funny, some of them are sad, some are serious, some are educational or informational, I should say. So yeah, I get to write now. I can write about anything I want to write. And then I post it every day on Facebook. I don't know who's going to read it or who's really interested in what I have to say. But just recently, someone commented to me. She said, I love your blog. I read it every day. That just said it all for me. If it's just one person who loves my blog and wants to read what I write every day, that's enough. Makes me happy.
And how is this daily practice of blogging, how has that impacted and shifted your view from this kind of structured, successful corporate world to who you are now, to the person who just, there's a haiku over here with a picture of an earthworm. But how did that progress you to be a person that even notices such things?
Well, I met someone, he's my partner today. I met someone who loved to hike in the Wissahickon. And I went along with him. And from being in the Wissahickon day after day after day and looking and smelling and seeing and touching nature, I began to look even closer.
Not poison ivy though this time
Not
around.
poison
I hope.
ivy,
Yeah.
although there's plenty of poison ivy in the woods right now, and it's everywhere. And I just look closer, and I keep looking, and the woods change every day and every year from season to season, so there's always something new to see. And I look and I take pictures, and then I get to share it, and I show this to people who may not know the beauty in the woods, who may not. This one, let me see this one.
I love that.
Oh, this was after rain. This was like one of these, I think they're millipedes, tiny little millipedes. Where's the camera?
Okay.
Here's the camera. It's a tiny little millipede. It must have been maybe 3 inches long. It's inching its way, all the way up from the ground, up all the way up to the top of this little, what are those things called? The stacked stones? The cairns. And it's curling, and it's up, then it's upside down. It's fascinating. And it drew me in. This tiny little thing got my complete total attention for I don't know how long, and I took a series of pictures. And then this inspired me. This, what did I say? The traveler wandering up and down across the world. And imagine like what it would be like for me to wander up and down across the world. I'll never do that, but this little guy did it, or girl, whoever.
They.
They. Thank you. Oh, they. So they did it. Thank you, May. And I got to do it through they. So I live vicariously. And you know, you can live vicariously in the woods. Birds, the owls, the woodpeckers, all of the creatures, and all of the it's fascinating to be, and being in the woods is so healing. It's just so healing. I'm going to say this. I recently read, I was listening to a book, forget what it's called, I'll have to find it. And in there, it was someone who had done some research, and in there he talked about the NK cells. Being in the woods really revs up your NK cells. Your NK cells are the natural killer cells in your body that help to fight disease. Go out in the woods. In Japan, there's the forest bathing. They do this to promote the health of people who have to work in offices all the time. They get trips. They get busloads of people. They take them out into the woods, and they've done research about how this improves the strength and the numbers and the strength of NK cells in these people, and it lasts for weeks. So if you want to keep yourself healthy, go walk in the woods.
What is the Japanese word for that? Forest bathing?
Forest bathing.
I mean, in Japanese.
I don't know. Are you Japanese?
No, but I've heard that they do that.
You heard that, yeah.
I've heard
If
the
you
word
go,
for
there is a
Yeah,
word.
probably,
I
yeah.
don't know what. I'm not Japanese. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah.
You do have a fascinating background, and you come from parents who are travelers in their own right.
Yeah. I was born.
Oh, I'm so excited for this part. Tell us about your parents.
I was born in Prague. My mother was Czech, and my father was Chinese. My father toured Europe at a time when people were not leaving China. They weren't allowed to, for some reason. So he must have been one of the privileged, among the privileged people. He had an acrobatic troupe, a large acrobatic troupe that toured Europe. And he was in Prague, and he was rehearsing, in Prague, like in the cities, in the tall buildings. My mother's family lived in an apartment in a tall building, not in a house. And she and her sister were in their living room one day, and they looked out across the street, narrow streets in Europe, and they saw these strange-looking people doing funny things. It was my father's troupe rehearsing. And so my father was doing his thing, and he looked over across the street, and my mother saw him, and she hid, she and her sister hid. And a few days later, my father was walking through the park and saw my mother sitting on a bench and walked right up to her and said in French, "Excuse me, mademoiselle, but don't we know each other?" And that's how he introduced. Yeah.
Wait, how
Isn't
old
that-
were they? How old were they?
Oh, so my mother was in her 20s and my father was in his 30s.
And he was a traveling acrobat.
And he was a
And
traveling.
she was like Czech,
And
almost aristocracy, yes?
Almost, yeah. She was Czech. She was not a Slav. She was Czech. And they eventually married, and they came to this country for 1 year with a smaller troupe, on 1-year contract with George Hammond and his circus, and they toured all around the country. And at the end of the year, they had no money. They were living in hotels because that's how they lived in Europe, and it was much cheaper. It was affordable to live in hotels. Well, here in the States it wasn't, so they had no money, so they had to stay a second year, and a third year, and on and on. And they toured for 7 years with all of the major circuses, Ringling Brothers, Clyde Beatty, Cole Brothers, the Shriner Circus. They even appeared, I don't know if anyone here is old enough to remember the Steel Pier and the Diving Horse. Yeah. So they appeared on the Steel Pier, not with a diving horse, but at the same time. So yeah, that's my history. I mean, they were travelers, so like I guess that planted the seed in me to seek new adventures and do different kinds of things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you didn't grow up traveling with them so much.
didn't.
You were home with your brother.
I was home, well, I was with my brother, and we stayed in different places. So again, there's the variety of travel and not being, and moving from place to place. It was when my parents got out of the circuses, out of show business, then we settled down and we had normal lives. Like ordinary lives, like most other people, in a house, and my parents got jobs. I went to school.
You got a job, you worked your way up
Got
that
a job,
ladder.
worked my way up that ladder. I started out as a secretary, and I ended up being a business consultant. And for an employee benefits firm, and that's when I stressed out and I couldn't take it anymore. And then I left there, and I found a whole new way of life. And
So this is one of those stories that it doesn't seem real, because people burn out and they sit under the fluorescent lights and they wear their blue light glasses and try to get rid of the headache, and they say I'm gonna up and leave one day, but they don't do it
because it's scary.
terrifying.
It is.
So
I-
how did you do this? Do you think you culled that bravery from your parents?
I don't know. I did it because I couldn't do what I was doing anymore. I just took a chance, and I think now I'm doing what I was supposed to be doing eventually. And I think the life I had before this time was like working my way up the ladder to live this kind of life. And I really believe that when you follow your heart, when you follow your inner promptings, life supports you. It may not be easy, it may not be predictable, it may not be very sane, but life will support you. Because life wants you to win. I really believe that. I mean, I've experienced it, and I've seen other people do that as well. So, yeah, I worried for years not getting a paycheck, because I was used to getting a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks or whatever. And I worried for years. I worried about money. And it wasn't until I met a numerologist and then a palmist, a palm reader. And both of them said to me, one in looking at my numbers and one in looking at my hand, they said, "You're covered." And what they meant was I was covered financially. As long as you do your part, you're covered. You don't have to worry about money. So I stopped worrying about money. And I have all the money I need, even though I don't make much money comparatively. I have all the money I need. I live comfortably. I have a lot of freedom. And yeah, it's like the proof is in the pudding. You've got to take, life is, you can live safe, but if you live safely, then are you really free? I think you have to earn your freedom. I really do.
I think that is incredible. It's absolutely beautiful. Trying to keep an eye on the clock. Do we have any questions from our audience right now? Okay, we can keep going.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the ones, are you very prescriptive with the 5-7-5? Do you
No.
play around? Okay.
Now, I started out,
Mhm.
and it's good to be prescriptive that way because it's a discipline. You know, to follow the rules, and then when you follow the rules long enough, then try to move away from that. And so sometimes I recently on one of my blogs, I said, I'm not a big fan of rules, but I can do it. I'm more freeform in my style. I like the flow of it, I like the freedom of it, I like the rhythm, I like the sound of the words rolling off my tongue. I like it's the feel of it, not that that's a good way to start, and I think that's the right way to start. But then you reach a point where you just loosen up a little bit. It's a little risky because you will have people saying, well, that's not haiku.
It's like syncopation.
Exactly. So it's totally up to you. For some people, that's what they want and that works, and that's great. For me, I'd rather just feel my way through it. And at the same time know that I can do it the prescribed way. So yeah. Do you write haiku?
No.
You should try it it's fun.
I might try it.
It's fun. It's the thing. Haiku is life. Haiku is a moment of time, a moment in time, and it goes blip, blip, blip. That's your moment, and you can encapsulate that and live that, have that forever. It's wonderful, and you can revisit it. It's just, and no one else can do it the way you do. And it's only just a few words. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, or it can. Sometimes I go back to haiku I've written years ago and just make a little change. Just make a little change. Yeah.
Thank you.
If someone wanted to learn to write haiku, what would be a good first step? Like how could they introduce themselves to it?
So that question was how can somebody start their own haiku writing? How can somebody learn what's a good first step?
I think the first step to do is you can do one of two things. Get your phone and put in there haiku and look at some options and read haiku. Go to the library, get a haiku book, and find haiku that speaks to you, because there's haiku and there's poetry and poetry, and some of it will speak to me. Some haiku I really don't like. It's too for me, and someone else may love that style. So find a haiku that speaks to you and read it, and read and read and read and read until it starts to dance with you. And then what you can do is take a haiku that you really like and edit it in your own words, just side by side. I used to do that, and I had some books, and I would read a haiku, and then alongside the haiku that the poet had written, I wrote a companion piece. I just changed the words a little bit, get a feel for it. And then after you've done that for a while, after you have a feel for it, then think about something you'd like to write. Look around, maybe the room you're in, or people, or outside. The tree, say something about the tree, write it down, and then look at those words and try to put those words into a 3-line format. I think that's how I got started. I think that's a simple way to get started. Yeah.
Now, do you view this as a diary? Do you view your daily practice as something spiritual? Do you view it as a record of your life? I was curious about this in our speaking. So you have committed to doing something that is almost religious. Every single day you do this, and you do it at progressively higher levels of art.
It's
How do
becoming,
you view this?
yeah, it's becoming more refined. I don't know that higher level, but I would say my writing has become more refined. It's also become looser, more fun. And I view it as all of the above. It is a diary. It is something spiritual. It's a discipline. The thing I love about it is that it's a discipline. I made a commitment to do this. I almost quit one time, and my partner said, no, you don't want to do that. So I stayed with it. But it's a discipline, and it's spiritual discipline. And I don't mean, God spiritual or anything like that. What I mean is it impacts my inner drive to live my life the way I want to live. So it's that kind of, and it takes me into my own head, my own mind. I really value the discipline of it, that format, a photograph, refining the photograph, refining the haiku, the words, because you don't accomplish anything you really want to accomplish in life without discipline. You gotta have discipline. Otherwise, in today's world, you're all over the place. There are too many choices. You get scattered, you can't stay focused. You need a discipline. And find a discipline that you like, that can be fun. And then when you find you have your heart's desire, there's something you really want to do, you have that foundational groundwork. You've laid it day after day after day. That will carry you through. It's like your best friend. You become your own best friend. Yeah. So it's all of the above.
And do you write in the morning? Do you write in the evening?
I write in the morning. I wake up in the morning, and I wake up when it's still dark outside, and I light candles at home. I don't want lights. I don't want electrical lights on. I want the candlelight because the energy is different. My mind stays more inner directed. Lights, they wake you up and you start thinking about what you have to do for the day, and you're all over the place. Candles. I sit in my reading chair and I read, mostly poetry, and it's mostly haiku. That puts me in the frame of mind. And then I look through my photographs and I pick a picture. And then I'm just with it for a while, and it sort of percolates, and thoughts come, and then I might begin to write, and then my writing might prompt an inquiry. Oh, what does this mean, or what does this word, or I'll look for a word, and it's that kind of process, but it's always in the morning. And there are some mornings where I think, I don't know what to write. So I wait. I wait for an inner inspiration, and it always comes.
And do you think that you find yourself looking, do you feel like at the end of the day, oh my goodness, I haven't drawn something or taken a photo of something? Do you
No.
find yourself looking, or do you just...
When I leave my house, I'm always looking. I'm very visual. Wherever I go, whatever I do, my phone is with me for my camera, and I'm always looking. I'm always open to I'm always open to seeing something. And even if I don't know what I'm seeing or why, if I'm inspired to take a picture, I just take a picture. And I have a phone full of pictures.
You just really follow your gut with it, just
I follow
anything
my
that
gut.
draws your attention. One of the posts you did that has garnered a lot of conversation among the staff here at William Jeans is the no socks
Well, yeah, I didn't know. So I was in a coffee shop and waiting, for my coffee, and I'm looking around, and I see a man standing, waiting for his coffee, and I'm looking up and down, and I look down, and I see no socks. And I thought that was strange. I'm not really high on what's popular in the world. But so to me, that was unusual to see a man with no socks on. And his pants were shorter. I've got short socks on, but he had no socks on. So I said, oh, I quick took a picture because it intrigued me.
Struck you, yeah.
Yeah, and so I went online I went online after that. Oh, and then I took it. Yeah, I took. So then I went online and I'm looking up men's clothing, and I'm looking at pictures, and then men's shoes, and then what I found was that it's a look. It's a very popular look for men. It used to be I knew about women with no socks, but I didn't know about men and no
Did you
socks.
ever see Miami Vice?
I did, but I never paid attention. Do they have no socks?
That was a long time ago.
I love Miami Vice,
Yeah.
but I never paid attention.
So you go back to this picture and
So I
you
get back to
see
the picture.
further scrutiny here.
And then I
No
looked,
one has
and
socks
in the
on.
background, there's another guy with no socks on. So I had two images in one shot, and I wrote a haiku blog on that. I just thought it was so much fun.
We
I
have
forget
two
what I
guys,
said.
no socks.
Two guys, no socks.
Two snake plants.
Two snake. Oh
And
yeah,
then
it
there
was
was
2 plus
something
2
else.
equals 0 or something like that. There was 2 snake plants, 2 potted plants, 2 men with no socks, and something else. And so it happens like that, and it's just so much fun. It's like an adventure in my reading chair early in the morning. It's just, I cannot tell you how much I love what I do. It's just so much fun. And I learn new things too. So now I know about the guy's look, the popular look today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And do you, aside from Miami Vice and men's fashion, things of that sort, do you find that this practice, if people out there watching, listening, people in the audience here, were interested in following a similar discipline, how do you feel it's impacted you as a person?
But so knowing that other people are doing the same thing.
If they, how do you feel it's impacted you, making it a point to spend time every day doing this?
I'm having a hard time with this, maybe.
Yes.
Wait, ask it
Like,
again.
so you spend time every day. You've made
I
a
do.
decision to spend time on this discipline
Right.
every day.
Right.
How has it impacted you as a person doing
I
this
feel
every day?
fulfilled. I don't know what else to say. I just feel so satisfied.
Yeah.
It's just it rewards me.
I think that's what everybody wants out of life.
Yeah,
is that
that's right. You want.
joy and that fulfillment that you always seem to carry around with you. As I'm always so delighted when I log into any old book club and I see your face. I'm always so excited when you're there. You bring such interesting things. Half of our staff has taken this
Oh.
book out because one day Mim came to any old book club and shared with us that she is not making these salads. She's just metaphysically tasting them because of the beautiful pictures.
Yeah.
And we shared that.
You mentioned that.
We shared that. I shared that with some coworkers, and they shared it with some coworkers, and so many people have checked out Salad Freak, and it's beautiful.
Well, it's beautiful, but I'm not the only one. There are other people who read cookbooks, and they can taste the recipes. They don't need to cook the food. It's so delicious just to read and to look at these beautiful pictures. You do that, don't you? Yeah. So it's a fun thing to do. And for a while I was reading books about how to die well, how to die at peace. Because that was something that was, being older, I'm going to die eventually. I just wanted to be as prepared. You can't be prepared. But I thought I would read some good writing from people who have observed people dying, or they themselves wrote the book on their way out, or whatever. And then I got off of that topic. It just, reading, I read philosophy and I read spiritual teachings, it helped me to formulate my own philosophy of how to live my life. I think reading is one of the best things you can do.
Oh, we like it too.
It's true. I love my library. Here's my pocketbook. I was in the library earlier today and I saw a whole bunch of buttons.
Mhm.
I said, are these available? Are these available? I heart my library. I love my library.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So when in doubt, read. I mean, reading online, that's good, but you need a book. You need, the library, and I love this library. It's so much fun.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
You need a paperback book if you want to feel cozy. That's important.
I've never heard anybody say that before in that way, and that's so perfect.
What?
I feel the same way about paperbacks.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
for all the reasons you said. I thought that's the only reason that hardback book was there, as an example of how uncozy it was. I didn't know it was
Oh, yeah, the
full of
salad
delicious
freak.
pictures.
Yes.
It's also full of metaphysical feasts. Yeah, okay, so do we have any other questions online from the audience? We're gonna do our drawing?
Question.
I have,
Yes. Do you ever feel like you get writer's block or get stressed out about coming up with the haiku for that day?
A
I
very-
think that's an issue with being creative is sometimes inspiration comes to you, but sometimes if you're on this like a schedule and you have, I need to get this artwork done by the end of my work day, then it like adds stress and it kind of blocks your creative process.
I absolutely agree with you.
So the question is,
So the question is, do I ever get writer's block about writing a haiku or what to write about? Because, if you're busy, throughout the day, you come to the end of the day and you haven't, come up with a haiku or something to write about. Do you freak out, and does that put you into stress, can't sleep and all of that? I would say that I get writer's block on a fairly regular basis, but what saves me is, what balances that out is there are times when everything flows, and I might be inspired with 3 or 4 different ideas or a quick haiku, and I have them ready, so that when I do have writer's block, I can look at something that I've drafted, and that will carry me through. And with the pictures, take plenty of pictures. Just and even if they're not that good, you can edit your pictures later on. You can whatever, but just so when you get in the habit of, it's that habit that keeps you rolling, and don't worry about it. And if you miss something, just write anything. It could be like A, B, C, D. I can't think of a thing to write. Oh, there's a haiku. I mean,
that
it
is
is.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So I love that, because I think when people get stymied, they get in their own way. They stop themselves from progressing forward because of anxiety or writer's block or stress or whatever. And
perfection.
Perfection, yes, such a big one. And I just love that. Every time I come away from speaking with you, I feel like I have cracked the case, like something that was percolating in the back of my mind that I couldn't figure out gels. It comes together. And I just absolutely love talking with you. I love your philosophy of life. I love, what you share with the world every day. I'm always so, it always makes my day a little bit better when you come into the library and have a reference question. It really does. So I'm so blessed to have met you. I'm so glad that you could come today. We have a little bit more time. I think, Rachel, you had a question?
I have a question, but mostly just I wanted to thank you because I feel inspired. I have felt my entire adult life like there was art inside me, but I'm not a musician. I'm not a visual artist. I mean, I sing and I, doodle and but every time I've really tried to get an external expression of what I feel like is inside, it just doesn't communicate what I feel like was on the inside. And writing is the only way that I have felt like I was able to do that, but having an excess of words constantly racing through my brain, coming out of my mouth, it's just nonstop. It just takes me a really long time, and I can't seem to narrow down my words. And when I try to, it takes so long that then I get discouraged. But the discipline of the haiku, I feel like, could be just the thing, because it's words. That's the one thing where I feel like I'm able to get what's inside me out. But that puts it in a little package that's much more attainable.
Mm-hmm.
And I randomly take pictures of things all the time just because it delights me. I look at something, it intrigues me, or it delights me, and I take a picture and I think, what am I ever going to do with that picture? So now I feel like I have a whole catalog. If I'm outside, I could just look around and find inspiration. But like I have all these pictures in my phone that I could probably look at, and it just gives me like a starting point. Like I feel like I could write a haiku about pictures. Maybe not every day, but
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done anything for years and years because I've just been like, I just can't do this. So I feel very inspired. All that to say,
Good.
I wanted to say thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would like to say with that, feeling stuck creatively, how to express, that's the creative dilemma, that's the artistic dilemma. Highly successful artists will tell you the same thing.
Mhm.
Oh, you too? And so, yeah, really.
That's encouraging, yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just do something. Just do something. And stream of consciousness writing.
Yeah.
Just get it out of here on a piece of
Right.
paper. Don't even read it.
Yeah.
But just it's like creativity, inspiration gets stuck like a hose that's tied in knots.
Yeah.
Just free it and let stuff flow out, and then something. Yeah, so don't.
Yeah, I have to let out like all the log jam that's in
Right.
there, I think.
Yeah, it's got to get out.
Yeah.
I think that's good with meditation, therapy.
Meditation.
Yeah,
Yes.
meditation,
Mm.
therapy.
Yeah,
mental,
that's right.
Clear things out.
Clear things out. Yeah, just sit with it. Just
Yeah.
sit with it, and don't make it wrong. Don't resist it. Just let it do whatever it's going to do, so we can go.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My question was, you're a yoga instructor?
I am.
Do you have a practice at a studio, or is it just a
I Zoom.
informal thing?
I used to.
Yeah.
I used to teach classes every day, and then I lost all of my work during COVID because I
Yeah.
worked with at-risk populations.
Yeah.
And so now I Zoom. I Zoom 2 mornings a week.
Yeah.
And it's great because then you have the rest of the day, it's, from 9 to 10:15, and it's a great kind of practice for just about anybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Well, I think that we are going to end this installment of not any old book club, of Between Two Bookshelves. My goodness. Whoops. Between Two Bookshelves here. Mim, thank you so much for
Thank
talking.
you. I loved it. I really appreciated the opportunity.
I just really, truly, I'm so grateful that you could come tonight and share with us. And again, let me pull it up. For those of you at home who are interested, Mim's blog is just 3 lines. It's 3 lines more or less, blogspot.com. And I mean, even just starting the daily practice of reading her blog is worth it. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
So I'm glad that you came. I'm glad people showed up. I hope it wasn't as scary as your dream the other day.
That was not. No. This was fun.
There's a post from a few days ago where Mim dreamt that this was disastrous.
It was. I dreamt about this, and I was waiting, and people were here, and where was Meg? And then it was canceled. And then I woke up. That was my dream. Yeah.
This is not canceled.
This
I
is
would
not
never
canceled.
cancel on you because you are one of my all-time favorite patrons. So again, thank you so much for coming.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing.
pleasure.
Everybody check out Mim's blog post. Thank you.
I have a comment about the men that wore
No
no
socks,
socks.
yeah.
They also wore penny loafers.
Penny loafers, yes.
Yes.
Yep, you're right.
And rubber jackets.
Oh, we've got more. Does
Oh, wait,
anybody
wait.
else need to?
Oh, there's another
The
drawing. Door prize.
While they're doing that, what were the three terms that you said, for the haiku with the commentary?
Right, so there's haiku, Haiku. There's haiga, Haiga. That's with the photograph. With
Oh, that's the one with the photograph?
That's with the image.
Right.
And then there's haibun, Haibun. That is the haiku with commentary.
I thought since those were, flowing out, I figured you would know the words to the forest bathing too.
I didn't know.
But those three, that I like that there's actually a term for putting those
Hold on a
things
second.
together.
Yes.
Because they can really work together, so.
Yes, they can.
Woo.